You know how it is. Just when you think things have finally settled down, another big Seahawks update drops. And honestly, there's been so much happening lately that it's almost impossible to keep up. From roster moves to contract buzz and injury updates, there's a lot to break down today. And some of these developments could end up being more important than they first appear. So stick around, because there's plenty to talk about. But first, hit the like button and tell me, how long have you been a Seahawks fan? Write the year in the comments. The amount of news surrounding the Seattle Seahawks has been building at an incredible pace, and it feels like every single day brings another important development that could have an impact on the team. Within a short period of time, several different stories have emerged at once, ranging from a new roster move to growing optimism surrounding one of the franchise's biggest stars, while an injury concern that initially worried many fans now appears to be much less serious than it first seemed. Taken together, these developments paint the picture of an organization that continues to make calculated decisions as training camp approaches, with every move carrying a purpose. One of the latest roster decisions involved the addition of Brandon Johnson, a move that may not immediately generate massive headlines across the league, but could end up being one of those under-the-radar signings that proves valuable over time. Johnson became available after being waived by the Philadelphia Eagles, giving Seattle the opportunity to bring in a player who possesses intriguing athletic traits and the versatility to contribute in multiple ways. Rather than chasing a flashy name, the Seahawks chose to take a chance on someone they believe can strengthen areas of the roster that often don't receive enough attention. Johnson measures around 5'9" and weighs approximately 185 pounds. During his college career, he began at Duke before transferring to Oregon, where he became part of a successful Ducks team. His experience primarily came as a slot cornerback. But what truly makes this signing interesting is not simply where he lines up defensively. His value also comes from his ability to contribute on special teams, an area that frequently determines field position and can quietly influence the outcome of football games. Special teams rarely dominate conversations among fans compared to offense or defense, yet successful organizations understand just how important that phase of the game can become over the course of a season. Seattle appears to recognize that reality, and Johnson fits the profile of a player who could earn his place by making consistent contributions in those situations. Even if he isn't immediately projected as a major defensive contributor, players who embrace special teams responsibilities often carve out meaningful roles, and that appears to be exactly the opportunity now in front of him. Every roster addition naturally leads to another difficult decision, and in order to make room for Johnson, the Seahawks released veteran tight end Harrison Bryant. Roster moves like this are never easy because they involve players who have worked hard for their opportunity, but they are an unavoidable part of preparing the team for the season. Seattle clearly believes Johnson provides a skill set that better fits what the coaching staff is looking for at this stage. While that signing certainly caught attention, perhaps the biggest conversation surrounding the Seahawks right now revolves around Devon Witherspoon. Momentum continues to build regarding a possible contract extension, and recent reports suggest negotiations are moving in a positive direction. The expectation is no longer simply that a new deal could happen someday. Instead, it increasingly feels like discussions have reached a point where many believe an agreement may not be far away. Recent reporting from NFL insider Ian Rappaport added even more fuel to that belief. According to the latest information discussed, there is growing confidence that Witherspoon could receive his extension before Christian Gonzalez, despite both players sharing the same agent. That detail makes the situation particularly interesting because the negotiations involving both players naturally create comparisons regarding market value and timing. The biggest question is no longer whether Witherspoon deserves a major contract. Instead, attention has shifted toward exactly how large that contract could become. Earlier discussions centered around a figure near $30 million annually, but more recent speculation suggests the number could begin closer to $32 million per season. If that happens, Witherspoon would become the highest-paid cornerback in the NFL based on average annual salary. That kind of financial commitment would undoubtedly attract attention across the league. Yet, from Seattle's perspective, there appears to be confidence that such an investment would be justified. Throughout his career, Witherspoon has demonstrated versatility that makes him one of the most valuable defensive players on the roster. He has shown the ability to line up inside, outside, utilize his speed, and even make an impact as a pass rusher, giving the defense flexibility that few cornerbacks can provide. Another aspect being highlighted is the different approach Witherspoon has taken throughout the offseason. While discussion continues around negotiations, he remained present with the team, participating during organized team activities, and maintaining his involvement with the organization. That willingness to continue showing up while contract talks continue has been viewed as another positive sign regarding the relationship between player and franchise. The growing amount of conversation surrounding these negotiations has only intensified during the past week. Earlier in the offseason, Seattle reportedly made an offer that did not lead to an immediate agreement, after which very little information surfaced for quite some time. Now, however, reports, discussions, and speculation have all increased noticeably. Whether viewed individually or collectively, the increasing volume of information has led many to believe that meaningful progress is finally being made. Seattle also appears to have the financial flexibility necessary to complete a significant extension. According to salary cap figures referenced during the discussion, the team currently possesses roughly $25 million in available cap space. Depending on how the contract is ultimately structured, there is even a possibility that creative financial planning could lessen the immediate salary cap impact despite the enormous overall value of the agreement. Interestingly, the conversation did not stop with Witherspoon alone. There was also mention that Leonard Williams could be another player worth monitoring regarding a future extension. While no official announcement has been made, his name emerged as someone who may eventually become part of Seattle's ongoing efforts to secure important contributors for the future. That possibility only reinforces the sense that the Seahawks may not be finished making significant moves. Taken together, the addition of Brandon Johnson and the increasingly optimistic outlook surrounding Devon Witherspoon's contract illustrate a front office actively shaping the roster in multiple ways. One move focuses on improving depth and special teams, while the other centers on rewarding one of the franchise's most important defensive players with what could become a record-setting contract. They are very different stories, but both point toward an organization continuing to make deliberate decisions as preparations for the season accelerate. With reports continuing to emerge and momentum seemingly growing around these developments, do you believe the Seahawks are making all the right moves by investing in depth while also preparing what could become a record-breaking extension for Devon Witherspoon? Another topic that generated considerable discussion involved Nick Emenwari. When the initial news surfaced that he had been placed on the PUP list, it immediately caused concern among many Seahawks fans. Seeing an important defensive player appear on any injury-related list this early naturally raises questions, especially before the team has even begun serious work on the field. For a brief moment, it was easy to assume the worst, simply because there were so few details available. Fortunately, as additional information started to emerge, the overall picture became much more encouraging. Instead of pointing toward a significant setback, the reports suggested that Seattle's coaching and medical staff were simply taking a cautious approach. That distinction is extremely important because there is a major difference between a long-term injury and a precaution designed to avoid one. Steve Wyche provided one of the most reassuring updates while discussing the situation. According to the information he shared, someone within the organization indicated that the Seahawks are not overly concerned about Emanwari's condition. Just hearing that changes the entire conversation surrounding the young defender. Rather than preparing for an extended absence, attention quickly shifted toward the possibility that this could simply be part of the team's effort to manage a player carefully during the early stages of training camp. Another important point was the explanation of how the preseason PUP designation works. Unlike being placed on the regular season PUP list, which carries mandatory missed games, this version gives the Seahawks tremendous flexibility. Once Emanwari receives medical clearance, the team can activate him immediately. That means he could potentially miss only a short period before returning to practice without any long-term consequences. That clarification dramatically changes the outlook. Early reactions often assume that every appearance on an injury report signals a major problem, but in this case, the available information points in the opposite direction. There has been no indication that surgery is involved, and there has been no suggestion that Seattle expects him to miss an extended amount of time. Instead, the discussion centered around the possibility that the issue may simply require a little patience before he resumes normal football activities. Because the organization has remained extremely quiet regarding the exact nature of the injury, there has been no official explanation of what specifically happened. Rather than speculate beyond the available facts, the focus remains on what has actually been reported. Seattle has kept those details private, and until additional information becomes available, the only responsible conclusion is that the team itself does not appear alarmed. That should provide some relief considering how important Emanwari is viewed within the defense. His role is significant enough that any injury headline immediately grabs attention. But based on everything discussed, this situation currently appears far less dramatic than many initially feared. Sometimes the smartest move an organization can make is preventing a minor issue from becoming a major one, and that seems to be the philosophy being applied here. Looking back at all of the developments together, it's remarkable how much has unfolded in such a short period of time. Seattle added Brandon Johnson, giving the roster another athletic defensive back with valuable special teams experience, while creating room for him through the release of Harrison Bryant. At the same time, optimism surrounding Devin Witherspoon's contract negotiations has continued to grow, with increasing expectations that he could soon receive a record-setting extension that reflects both his production and his importance to the organization. Finally, what initially appeared to be a worrying injury situation involving Nick Emanwari has become considerably less concerning as more reliable information has surfaced. Each of these stories represents a different aspect of roster building. One move focuses on finding overlooked talent capable of contributing immediately on special teams. Another centers on rewarding elite performance by securing one of the team's premier defensive players for the future. The last demonstrates the importance of patience when evaluating early injury reports before all the facts are available. Perhaps the biggest takeaway from all of these updates is that the Seahawks continue operating with a clear sense of direction. Every decision discussed has been connected to strengthening the team, whether through improving depth, maintaining financial flexibility while working toward a major extension, or exercising caution with a key defender's health. Rather than reacting emotionally, the organization appears committed to making calculated decisions designed to position the roster as effectively as possible moving forward. As training camp continues, these situations will remain worth watching because each one has the potential to develop further. Brandon Johnson now has an opportunity to prove that Seattle made the right decision by bringing him in. Devin Witherspoon's contract talks remain one of the biggest storylines surrounding the franchise, with growing expectations that an agreement could arrive sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, fans will undoubtedly be monitoring every update involving Nick Emanwari, hoping to see him return to the practice field as quickly as possible after what now appears to be a precaution rather than a major setback. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay up to date with every Seahawks development as soon as it happens, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and click the video that's on your screen next. That's where you'll continue finding the latest Seahawks news first, with detailed coverage of every important update as it unfolds.